What if I told you the fastest way to make a woman chase you is to stop chasing her ego? Sounds backward, right? But here's the brutal truth most men ignore. If you don't learn how to trigger her ego the right way, she will never see you as the man she can't resist. Instead, you'll be stuck in her DMs, watching her stories, liking her pictures, while she chases the guy who knows exactly how to press her psychological buttons. In this video, I'll reveal the 5 psychological triggers that make her ego light up and turn her pursuit mode on. Stick around to the end, because the last one? It's the one that flips the entire game in your favor. Let's dive in. 1. Become the mirror she can't read. The first way to trigger her ego is by becoming the mirror she can't read. You see, most women are used to men laying all their cards on the table by the 3rd sentence. They get compliments, validation, and predictable emotional signals. It's like watching a movie you've already seen 100 times. You know the ending before it starts. But when you become emotionally unreadable, stoic, calm, and selective, her ego can't help but scream, "Why can't I figure him out?" This emotional tension triggers a psychological loop, because the moment she can't decode you, she assumes you must be high value. She thinks, if I can't figure him out, maybe he's out of my league. Now her ego is challenged, and she starts chasing just to solve the mystery. Think of it like this. She's played 100 games and won 98. You're the glitch. And trust me, glitches get chased. You want to mess with her ego in a way that feels magnetic. Stop being the predictable guy she's used to. Start being the mirror that reflects very little back to her, just enough to spark curiosity, but not enough to give away your emotional depth. Let's be honest. When was the last time you made her wonder what you were thinking? Not what she felt, what you felt. Exactly. Now let's take it one level deeper. 2. Compliment her like a surgeon, not a fanboy. Most men flood her with generic compliments. You're beautiful. I love your smile. Yawn. It's the emotional equivalent of offering her a glass of water when she already owns a waterfall. But here's what high-value men do instead. They compliment her differently, with precision. Say something like, "You have this calm intensity. It's rare." Or, "The way you observe everything before you speak. I noticed that." Now you're not feeding her ego, you're targeting it, in a way that makes her feel seen beyond surface level. You're not just saying she looks good. You're noticing how she is, her presence, her essence. And most importantly, you're not saying it with the intention of getting something back. Why does this work? Because every woman wants to feel uniquely understood. She doesn't just want to be seen. She wants to be seen differently. And when you're the man who sees her in a way no one else has, you become unforgettable. That one compliment latches onto her identity. It haunts her in the best way. And suddenly, she wants more of that feeling from you. That's how you create emotional demand. It's not about giving her validation. It's about becoming the source of validation she didn't know she needed. But even that won't work if you don't master what comes next. Because once her interest is sparked, she'll test you hard. Let's talk about how to pass her tests without even blinking. 3. Calmly reject her ego. Want to absolutely wreck her ego in a way that makes her obsessed? Tell her no, but do it calmly. Example, she invites you out last minute. You smile and say, "Tonight's full, maybe another time." Boom. You've just rejected her, without drama, without insecurity. And guess what? Her ego can't compute it. Why? Because most guys would cancel their life to be in her presence. You didn't. You calmly held your boundary. That tells her ego, you're a man with direction. A man who isn't desperate is a man she suddenly can't get off her mind. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. You're communicating self-worth without saying a word. You're silently saying, "My time is valuable. I don't need to be rewarded with your attention." And that messes with her ego in the most delicious way. Warning, side effects may include excessive texts and random, "I was just thinking about you" messages. Suddenly, she's showing up more often. She's engaging because you became the man who didn't chase, and now her ego wants to win. But what if she starts pulling back? The next trigger flips the fear switch in her. 4. Use absence like a master tactician. Here's a hard truth. Distance creates desire, but only if it's intentional. Most men disappear out of fear. They get hurt. They ghost. They pull back emotionally without purpose. But high-value men, they disappear out of discipline. This isn't ghosting. This is controlled absence. It's psychological space. Strategic silence. You stop responding immediately. You slow the rhythm of attention. You make her feel your presence. by removing it, subtly, calmly, with confidence. And when she starts to feel that subtle emotional gap, her ego starts spiraling. Did I lose him? Why is he quiet? What did I do wrong? Now she's not chasing you, she's chasing certainty. The kind of absence that makes her crave your presence is the one that feels like a choice, not an accident. She doesn't know if you're gone for good or if she just slipped in priority. That's when her ego begs for validation. And now, you're the one with the power. She texts you first. She drops hints. She posts stories just to see if you'll watch. And all because you created intentional absence. But it only works if you do this final move. The one thing that binds all these triggers together and makes her chase you without even realizing it. 5. Build a mission bigger than her want to know the most attractive thing to a woman's ego. A man with a mission bigger than her. Because once she sees that your world doesn't revolve around women, her ego gets hit in 2 places. First, confusion. Why doesn't he need female validation? Second, competition. How can I become important to a man who already has everything? This is the deepest ego trigger. When you stop placing her on the pedestal, when your eyes are on the path ahead instead of constantly on her, her ego starts panicking, not because you're ignoring her, but because you're not placing her above your purpose. That's rare, that's dangerous, and it's what makes her want you even more. You are no longer trying to impress her. You're living, you're building, you're growing, and she's either part of the vision or she's watching from the sidelines. And here's the kicker. Women respect men who make them feel replaceable. Not in a cold or cruel way, but in the sense that your fulfillment isn't tied to her. Your value isn't dependent on her attention. That subtle emotional distance tells her, I'm not chasing you, I'm becoming unignorable. And nothing is more irresistible to a woman's ego than the fear of being replaced by your purpose. You ever wonder why the artist, the athlete, the entrepreneur, the man who's dialed in and focused, seems to attract women effortlessly? It's not because he's chasing them, it's because he's so wrapped up in building something meaningful that their egos crave proximity to his mission. They don't want to be with him, they want to matter to him. That's the final psychological flip. You go from seeker to selector, from option to outcome. And here's where things get wild. When a woman starts viewing you as a man on a mission, she'll often overcompensate. Suddenly she wants to support your vision, offer help, talk about goals. She'll bring up books like Meditations or say she's into Stoicism now because your path became more interesting than her presence. That's how you trigger her ego at the core, and you didn't have to beg, you didn't have to chase, you just lived with discipline and purpose and let her ego rise or fall based on your gravity. Let's tie it all together. Most men chase a woman's body. Very few learn to trigger her ego. But the man who does, he becomes the obsession. He's the guy she talks about with her friends but can't explain why. He's the one she dreams about and wakes up needing to impress. He lives rent-free in her mind because her ego can't figure out how he slipped past the defenses. Triggering her ego isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding what truly makes a woman chase. Mystery, precision, boundaries, distance, purpose. These aren't tricks, they're truths. And they separate the men she texts once from the men she never forgets, the men she chooses. Now the real question is, will you be that man? Will you keep flooding her with compliments and validation? Or will you start becoming the psychological puzzle she has to solve? Will you cancel plans just to earn a place in her day? Or calmly walk away when your time isn't respected? Will you orbit around her life, or build a life so magnetic she begs to be part of it? Look around. Most men are stuck in the same loop, seeking her approval, waiting on replies, praying for attention. The few who break that loop, they don't chase, they attract. Because they don't aim to please her ego, they aim to trigger it. And when you do that, when you walk with calm confidence, when you speak with thoughtful control, when you disappear with purpose, when you live with meaning, she chases, she questions, she obsesses, and she never quite figures out how you became the man she can't stop thinking about. If this video opened your eyes, if something in you just clicked, then don't let this moment pass you by. Hit that subscribe button right now, because this is just the beginning. We've got deeper truths coming, more real talk, more stoic fire, and more tools to help you become the man women chase, not the other way around. Drop a comment below with, I don't chase, I attract, if you're ready to shift the power. And remember this, you don't chase her, you trigger her with silence, with discipline, with purpose. The rest, she brings that to you.